Have you ever felt like no matter how much you prepare, you still get nervous during presentations or important meetings? Or maybe you've felt self-conscious while meeting new people despite having an interesting story to tell. If these experiences sound familiar, don't worry, you are not alone. As I learned from a social psychology researcher, she taught me how people think about themselves and others. And one thing I can tell you for sure is that everyone struggles with self-confidence from time to time. But there's good news. Research shows that confidence isn't an emotion or a personality trait, but a byproduct of actions. So if you want to feel more confident, simply act your way into confidence. In this video, we'll explore this idea further. So let's dive right in. There are many ways to define confidence. For example, the dictionary defines confidence as a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's capabilities, achievements, or understanding. But if you ask most people what confidence means, they will tell you that it's all about feeling good, such as feeling comfortable about who you are, feeling positive about yourself, or feeling secure in your own sense of identity. They see confidence as an emotional state that you either have or you don't. But this is a misconception because research suggests that confidence is best understood as something you do, not something you feel. So let's start by clarifying what confidence actually means. When people talk about confidence, they're usually referring to trait confidence, which is a broad personality characteristic that describes your overall level of self-assurance. Some people are indeed blessed with naturally high levels of trait confidence, just like some people are born with a natural talent for basketball or singing. But this isn't the whole story. If you look at the data on trait confidence, you will find that people's confidence levels are pretty malleable. For example, researchers have found that people can boost their confidence by performing well on a task they care about, such as solving an intellectual puzzle or completing a physical challenge. Moreover, even just thinking about a time when you performed well can increase your confidence. But perhaps the most surprising finding is that you can also boost your confidence by performing well on tasks that are completely unrelated to the domain you wish you had more confidence in. For example, researchers have found that performing well on a physical task like cycling increases people's confidence in their ability to perform well on a completely different cognitive task like solving a logic puzzle. What gives? Well, the answer to this puzzle is that trait confidence is a general mental tool that tells us how capable we are across a variety of situations, kind of like a toolbox we bring with us everywhere we go. The more tools you have in your toolbox, the better prepared you are to tackle unexpected problems. But wait a second, we started this video by arguing that confidence is not a feeling. How can you explain the common experience of feeling confident after a success or feeling less confident after a failure? To understand this seeming contradiction, let's consider another analogy. Imagine you're training to run a marathon. At first, you may struggle to run for even 10 minutes without getting out of breath. But as you put in the work and log miles week after week, you eventually find yourself running farther and faster than you ever imagined possible. One day during your training, you happen to run a personal best of 20 miles. How do you feel after this accomplishment? Probably pretty good. Now imagine that after this accomplishment, someone comes up to you and says, "Wow, you're such a great runner." What's your reaction? You might smile and say thanks, but secretly you're thinking, "No, I only did well because I trained really hard. I got lucky. That doesn't mean I'm actually a great runner." Even though you probably feel good after running your personal best, you wouldn't describe yourself as feeling confident about your ability to run a marathon. Instead, you would point to your training and the process that led up to your accomplishment. This is because you know that your ability to run a marathon depends on things that are under your control, like how hard you train, as well as chance factors that are beyond your control, like whether you get injured or the weather conditions on the day of the marathon. Now, what if you were to take this same mindset and apply it to your social interactions? Let's say you are preparing for an upcoming presentation and you do a mock presentation with your colleagues. After receiving their feedback, you go home and put in the extra work, On the day of the presentation, you walk into the room with confidence and deliver an outstanding talk. Afterwards, your boss comes up to you and says, "You did a great job today. You're such a confident presenter." What's your reaction? Well, according to the same logic that governed your reaction to your personal best running time, you wouldn't necessarily feel confident about your ability to present. Instead, you would point to the work that you put in beforehand, the fact that you incorporated your colleagues' feedback, and all the other factors that contributed to your success. This is because confidence is not a feeling you get after the fact, but rather a lens through which you view the work that got you there. When you take this lens and apply it to your daily life, you'll notice that confidence isn't something you feel, but something you do. And that's great news because it means that you can influence your level of confidence by influencing your actions. But how exactly does this work? Well, research suggests that you can build confidence by engaging in goal-directed action, which means taking some sort of desired action towards achieving a goal you set for yourself. For example, if you want to be more confident speaking a foreign language, practicing with a native speaker would count as goal-directed action because you are actively working towards the goal of becoming more fluent. Or if you want to be more confident writing, you could practice by writing every day. Goal-directed action works to build confidence for two reasons. First, it allows you to gradually acquire the skills and knowledge you need to achieve your goals. Second, it helps you gain a sense of control over your environment because you are actively working to change it rather than passively waiting for it to change. So how can you use this principle to become more confident in your own life? Well, the first step is to set a goal for yourself. It can be anything from running a 5,000 to giving a presentation to starting a conversation with someone you are attracted to. The key is to make sure it's something that's meaningful to you. Once you've set your goal, break it down into small steps that you can take over time. For example, if your goal is to run a 5,000, you might start by setting a smaller goal to run for 10 minutes straight without stopping. Once you achieve that goal, you can set another one to run for 15 minutes, and so on. The important thing is to celebrate each small victory along the way. Each time you accomplish a goal, no matter how small, give yourself a pat on the back and revel in the feeling of success. This will help you maintain your motivation and keep moving forward. And finally, remember that setbacks are a normal part of the process. Everyone experiences them, so don't let them get you down. Instead, use them as opportunities to learn and grow. Every time you face a setback, ask yourself what you could have done differently to achieve your goal. Then take action based on your insights. With enough practice and persistence, you'll eventually achieve your goal and feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. And when you look back on the journey, you'll realize that the effort was all worth it. So remember, confidence isn't something you're born with, it's a skill you develop over time through goal-directed action. So take charge of your life and start taking action towards your goals. You might be surprised at what you can accomplish. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful mental health content. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.